I'm the director of the Center for Digital Engagement. I wanted to kind of introduce you to our digital summer clinic session, so our information session. We have a number of guests here. We're going to have Jerome Cree and Eric Wortman joining us shortly. Eric is from Google, and he's a senior accounting manager there, actually, as it turns out. And then we're going to have Jerome Cree from Pinterest, and he is a relationship manager at Pinterest, which means basically he deals with high-level sales. And both of these guys are executives in residence in our summer clinic and graduates of EMU. So they'll have some fresh perspective to share. Then we're going to have interns and then company owners, so former interns and company owners. So that is all of the logos you see up here. And finally, Spark are the people who sponsor this, and they manage the an economic development area in Ann Arbor. Okay, so rules of the road. As you have questions, please ask them in the Q&A. Either I or one of our staff people, who you'll meet shortly, will answer them. And we're going to address these questions as the meeting goes on. So as questions pop into mind, just throw them in there. Anna Milan will be the who I'll introduce in just a second. Will shout out to me if we need to give it attention in the meeting. Okay. So I'm Bud Gibson. You can go find out about me at the Digital Summer.clinic website. I'm the director of the Digital Summer Clinic. I got this whole shebang kicked off back at the end of 2014. So it's actually, this will be our 8th running of the clinic. All of that is very lightly detailed in there at digitalsummer.clinic under Meet the Team. If you want to come to more events, this is one of our major events. Go to bit.ly/CDE events. So then we have Anna Milan, who's wearing a gamer headset, so she doesn't quite look the way she does in this photo here today, but you can recognize her. She's a field manager. She's the event wrangler for us. She was an intern in 2021, so can give that intern experience. She's a marketing, and she was an intern after her sophomore year. Marketing major, and she expects to graduate in 2023. Anna, why don't you say a word or two to the audience here? Remember to unmute.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Anna Milan, and I am a junior at Eastern Michigan University. Like Bud said, my major is marketing with a minor, and I have a minor in graphic communications. I was part of the last year's clinic where I was paired to work with a automotive engineering company called iOS 6. Then I got the chance to be a field manager in the fall and decided to continue working with them to help promote the clinic by leading job fairs, webinars, and graphics.
Great. And you're looking for an internship for the summer, right, Anna?
Yep, I am.
All right. Well, there's plenty out there. So I'm sure you'll have good luck, particularly with this wonderful clinic background on your resume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's hop on to the agenda. I'm going to give a quick overview of what is the clinic, and this is a great place to ask questions as you go along. I'm going to hit the highlights with a few details. And then I'm going to introduce the mentoring team. And then we're going to go into talking about the company experience. So we're going to have two founders and CEOs of their companies speak with us, and they've both hosted multiple intern teams. Then we're going to hear about the intern experience from two former interns last summer who have gone on to various versions of bigger and better things. Then we'll come back and meet the other field team members who are helping manage the application process. So let me hop on over to what is the clinic. Okay. So it's a 9-week, 90-hour mentored internship. So what that means is that it's part-time, 10 hours a week. So if you don't have time to do a full-time internship, you want to keep whatever job you've got, we built it for that. Okay, so you can do it part-time. Now, that said, there are often opportunities to extend your hours. There are many funding sources that the companies can avail themselves of to add hours to your internship. If both parties are mutually agreeable, the companies may have enough business going on themselves to hire interns just out of their own pocket. So there is the opportunity to kind of go beyond that 10 hours if that's what you really want to do. And usually that happens, you get started and then people, make the decision to do that or not. Uh, Ann Arbor Spark, which I mentioned earlier, picks up the tab for those 90 hours. And interns work on on a project developed by the company in collaboration with the mentoring team. So unlike some internships where you're sort of thrust in there and nobody is given any thought to what you're going to do except maybe about an hour before they panicked a little bit and wrote out a few things on a sheet of paper. We actually work with the companies, and that'll start to happen towards the end of next month, and help them figure out ways that they can get real value out of the interns. And so I think I think both parties actually view that as a value added piece. And then we have two cohorts. So basically, we have two meeting times for interns outside of work hours. One happens on Tuesday, the other happens on Wednesday. And you're going to uh, present your progress for the week to the mentoring team, highlighting any issues you may be experiencing, any questions you may have about how to handle certain situations, or typically something that happens is at times it can feel a little overwhelming for interns. And so, what are ways to manage your work and perhaps express back to the person who's supervising you at your company that, I've got all these things on my plate. How should I prioritize? That's what that weekly session is about, that mentoring session. And then we have an all hands meeting. And in the all hands meeting, we bring in people from outside typically. Interns are often say that's one of the best parts of the experience for them is both meetings, actually, the cohort meeting and then the all hands. And we're going to have 4 of those all hands meetings in person this year. So we've been remote the past 2 years. We're going to bring back some in person for the all hands. We think the mentoring meetings are actually work better remote. And so we're going to stick with remote for the cohort mentoring meeting. Okay. And we're going to be, as I said, remote and in person this year. All right. Now, here's the moment of truth. Hopefully, Jarrell and Eric have appeared. If they have not, both of them had meetings pop up. If they are not, then we'll just come back to them later. Okay. So, obviously, in the mentors, I'm a mentor. I'm the director of the clinic. We have Eric Wortman from Google, as I mentioned earlier, Jerome Cree from Pinterest, Jamie Ward from the PR program here at Eastern Michigan. She's a faculty. And then Sufjan Krunfla, who I've listed as supply chain management. That's his area of expertise. But he is also interim department head in the marketing department. Marketing includes a number of things, including supply chain management. So, Anna, did either Jarrell or Eric appear just yet?
Yeah, they're in.
Okay, great. So we'll start with Eric. And Eric, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, sorry for joining late, but had a meeting, but luckily not one that conflicted here. But no, it's great to connect with everyone. So my name's Eric Wardman. I've been at Google a little over 6 years now. I graduated from Eastern Michigan University a very long time ago, let's just say. Um, but at Google, I work on our ticketing and gambling marketplaces team. So we work with companies like StubHub and FanDuel to try to help them get the most out of Google products that they work with. Um, I've worked with a lot of different people across Google, whether they've been at Google for a long time or maybe even have just graduated and recently come to Google. And so also worked with a wide variety of clients before the ones that I'm currently working with. And so I hope that gives me a little bit of experience to, as we're mentoring the interns and the startups to try and give them, as Bud mentioned, try to help them prioritize and kind of navigate things. The internship is an incredible opportunity to really get like real world skills. I always say the interns oftentimes underestimate how much skills they can just immediately bring to the startups. So I would say in the first, don't worry about, do I have the skills? Will I be able to contribute? You definitely will. And so it's really up to us to kind of help you navigate that, really identify your strengths, and then figure out how you can apply those to the startups that you're working for. Because startups are all a little crazy, all a little unorganized, but they're always doing really cool stuff and trying to move quickly. So we'll be there every step of the way and try to give you a hand and make sure you have a good time, learn a lot, and above all else, really contribute to the company you're working for.
Boy, we're really setting the stage for Sudhi and Nicole with that startups are a little crazy comment.
In the crazy in
Okay.
the best way possible.
Okay. And so Jarrell.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jerome Cree. I'm currently working at Pinterest as an account manager, specifically within the automotive vertical, as well as I just actually got a couple of tire brands, which is still automotive, I would say. I've been at Pinterest almost 4 years now, and prior to that, I had 4 more years within digital marketing agencies. So I bring just experience from hands-on digital all the way up to digital strategy, analytics. These days, I kind of work cross-functionally across so many different teams. So experience that I usually can help advise with is how do you talk to senior leadership at companies? How do you talk to engineers? How do you talk to creative minds and everybody in between? So excited to be able to lend my experience to you as you're in this program. A quick benefit I think you're going to get out of the program when you sign up is I think Bud already alluded to it earlier, but usually when you do an internship, you go in and the people who are working with you on a day-to-day basis is your coworkers and then the manager that you work with. Here is cool because we kind of are an extension of you to where we're mentoring you behind the scenes. So not only are you going to learn from that startup that you're working at, but we're going to be helping you along the way so that we're going to gain so much more confidence as you're coming to us weekly with the things that you're working on and things that you've tested. So we're kind of like a soundboard for your experience throughout the internship. So based on the year I've been around, this is my 2nd year doing it. I always see the students learn so much and have such great stories at the end. And Eric and I actually met because I actually went to Eastern and I was in a summer program. So not only are you going to get a ton of experience, but a network, a ton of people and have friends and networks to build on for your future career after the program.
Yeah, when Jarrell was going to his first job out of school, he actually went to the company where Eric was working. That shows kind of the value of networking in an immediate and then also potentially a long-term sense. And so next up, we have Jamie Ward.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Ward. I am an associate professor of public relations at Eastern. I'm also the PRSSA faculty advisor, so the Public Relations Student Society faculty advisor. I have been working with the clinic since 2017, so I feel like it's been forever. I started as an observer, so I observed first. I wasn't a mentor. I just started showing up to see what was happening and to kind of watch what was going on, and then became a mentor in 2018. And then just kind of stuck around. I primarily help students develop content and branding strategies and really help them with kind of PR and social media content.
And Jamie, the other thing is I can point to students, business students, for instance, who I've sent to Jamie they're trying to figure out, they're in a situation, they're not sure what to do. And I say, well, that sounds like, a content strategy. And it'd be good to be proactive and present a content strategy to help organize things because things are a little disorganized. Usually or the student can't figure out quite how to, or the intern can't quite figure out how to move forward. And so Jamie has helped a number of them and they've gone on. One of them I was just recently in touch with got a 70% raise. She was working full time, moved to another company, salary increased by 70%. And Jamie was the person who helped her get that first job. So Jamie, you're kind of responsible. It's Kayla Henneman. Probably nobody knows her, but a young woman from a couple of years ago. So all right. So then our final mentor, as I said, interim department head of marketing, Sufjan Krunfla, or Dr. Q, people call him.
Thank you, Bud. Yes, it's nice to meet you all. I go by the name of Dr. Q, and yes, I'm the interim head for the marketing department. I been involved in the clinic, and I believe it or not, this is my 4th year actually. So yeah, time flies by so fast. Whether you're in the Tuesday or Wednesday cohort meeting, I'll be part of that team. I'll be mentoring you, and you will see me on the Thursday as well, a hands-on meeting. I'm providing support. Yes, I don't have the background about communication or content, but I will help you out navigate the process through this 9-week internship. So you will hear from me on Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, provide feedback, provide support for any problems. And, my advice for you is apply. Don't just, wait, or don't just say, this is not for me. Try it. This is my highlight. I'm the interim department head, and trust me, this is the highlight of my career. I love helping students. This is the thing that I love to do. And, my advice for you is just go for it. It's a well-structured, organized internship. You will hear feedback. Any problems you may face, we'll get you a solution. So go for it. And I'm looking forward to see you all.
Yeah, Anna doesn't mention it, but she actually had to think long and hard last year before deciding to apply to the clinic. And so, people can feel some hesitancy. We work with these high-tech companies. Sometimes their products are a little complicated and hard to figure out, but we've tried to bring on 2 folks who have tech products that are actually understandable. And so all of that to lead into our 2 company founders, Nicol Pasuit and Sudhi Uppuluri. And Nicol is founder and CEO of TechStak, and that's basically a marketplace for IT services, focusing a lot on cybersecurity now, from what I've seen in the past couple of years. If I recall correctly, Nicol, isn't your background in audiology? Okay. We may be having some problems with your audio. Jamie, are you noticing audio issues, or is it just on my end? Okay.
I noticed them as well.
Okay. Sudhi, maybe try plugging and unplugging your microphone or something. Then we have Sudhi Uppuluri, founder and CEO of Greenroot. Sudhi is an engineer by training, a CEO maybe by vocation, and we've worked with him for a number of years. Greenroot, well, we've worked with Sudhi in a couple of contexts. Greenroot is one of them. It's a routing software you can use to figure out whether the most fuel efficient or energy efficient route for your car. It's on your phone. And so why don't we kick off with you, Sudhi, and then joined by Nicol. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with the clinic.
All right. So by training, by education, I'm an aerospace engineer, master's in aerospace, but I have 20 years of experience in the automotive industry. And we started Green Root 3 years ago based on the work that we've done in the past 20 years in the automotive industry. As we were working on clean vehicles, we realized that no matter how clean we make the vehicles, would still waste energy, and that's because of the routing. And so that's kind of how then we took our math modeling and energy consumption expertise from the 20 years and condensed it into a customer facing app that they can look at and say, to my destination, what is an energy efficient way to get to the destination, as opposed to just speed, which is what Google Maps uses. So that's kind of how Green Root came about. We were lucky enough to get 2 interns from the summer clinic 2 years ago, or was it last year? 2 years ago, I think. But
we worked with you last year too, if I recall.
Last year too. Okay, yeah. The past 3 years are just one big gray blob to me, and so because of the pandemic and the shutdown. So yes, so we worked with the clinic on Green Root last year, and as we were developing Green Root, clearly from a technical algorithm perspective, we knew how to calculate the energy efficient route, but we needed somebody with more marketing experience to help us understand what is it that is important to the customer and how much do they care about it. So for example, the following numbers are very similar. You can say 3 pounds of CO2 on your drive home today, or you could say 15 cents in dollars, or you can save, I would say 18% in electric vehicle battery if you were driving an EV. And we wanted to understand from the customers, like, which one do you care about? Our initial hypothesis going in was, well, everybody who buys an EV cares about the emissions and climate, and so clearly it's the carbon dioxide they care about. And so that's what we used the clinic for, and turns out we were wrong. People just care about money first, even if you're an electric vehicle driver, and the percentage of battery next, and nobody could wrap their head around carbon, which is an interesting takeaway.
Okay, so great. And so Nicole, let's see if audio has improved here.
Okay, how's this?
Better? Oh, it's great.
Perfect. So some of the things that Eric alluded to, and kind of the fast-paced and craziness of a startup, and is certainly true. And one of the things that I think the clinic summer program brings for organizations like mine, as well as Green Root, is it's more hands-on deck for us, and the experience that the interns have that we can capitalize on, and then in return give them an experience with using those skills and talents, and then also training them on other things as well that they may be interested in, but maybe not so much have had exposure to. So I think the interns also walk away with developing some of the skills that they already have, but also learning new skills that they can take away for their resumes, as well as going into and applying for permanent jobs. One of the other things, especially for us here at TechStak, they've been essential to helping us move critical projects forward. So for example, our project last year, we migrated our entire platform, matchmaking platform, over to a new system. So we had to migrate everything over, the website, all of the features, the functionality, and new features, new functionality. And then we also put together a go-to-market strategy so we could then start getting more users onto the platform. So that was a massive undertaking for us that we had to do in sprints. And we're very successful at achieving that migration. And we couldn't have done it without the interns, being on board and working with us and really supporting all of those efforts and leading some of those efforts.
Oh, yeah. And I'd like to point out, we have ordinary people that we put in these internships. So, for instance, I'm remembering the two people who were with you last year, Nicole. We had Emily Byer, who was an education major from Kenyon. I may not have that entirely right, but that's the direction she was heading into. And then we had another intern from the business school, Ahmed, and he, or Ahmad, depending on how you say it. And he was really kind of sales oriented. So, and these guys dove in and they were able to accomplish this. And I think one of the interesting things across the two of you, Nicole and Sudhi, is, did you do startups in the area that you majored in? No. Sudhi, you're maybe the closest because, your thing is very math oriented, which is like a hallmark of any kind of engineering. Nicole, how did you come up with the idea for doing TechStak?
Well, interestingly enough, I have worked with a lot of, technology providers, and my husband is actually an IT provider and owns his own company. And really, TechStak came out of, talking with him and learning from him over years and years and years, some of the challenges and issues that he experienced with his own company with sales and marketing, and needing a way for businesses to find him other than just doing a Google search, and vice versa. He wanted to also attract a way to attract companies. So basically TechStak was born out of a need to bring small businesses and technology providers together because they speak very different languages. Small businesses, they don't understand what type of technology they need. They don't know how to assess like what kind of, IT service company should I be working with. And then the IT companies, of course, they don't know how to do marketing. They don't know how to do sales. They are technologists, brilliant experts in IT and cybersecurity, but they don't have that sales and marketing background.
Well, let me ask that same question to Sudhi. Did you buy a Tesla, Sudhi, and then realize there was a need, or how did you get the idea for Green Root?
So am I on mute? No, I'm not.
No.
So we've been working on clean powertrains for about 10 years by the time the Green Root idea came about. And a lot of the focus that the car companies have is to say, how clean can we make this? How clean can we make the vehicle in terms of regeneration and efficiency and engine efficiency and all that stuff. But in parallel, there is, if you look at what the cities are trying to do, you look at the cities like London or New York are trying to increase the number of people onto public transportation, get people onto bicycles, off the cars. So if London or New York and New York City would have it, forget about electric vehicles, get them all off the road. They want everybody on bicycles and trains. And the way that thought process is coming from is the energy efficiency, not of the car, but to move a person from one location to another. So to move Bud from his office to his home, today, I'm going to assume you drove a F-150, but today you're going
Well,
to,
not quite, but yes.
you're going to get into a large 2,000-pound car and move that 2,200 pounds, a human in a car over there. And so, of course, the energy consumed to move all of that is quite a bit. And so looking at just the vehicle powertrain is in some ways ignoring all the things that are happening on the outside. And so as we started to do broader and broader work at a system scale, we went, routes is where, it's today, they just look at the fastest way and say, go this way. But with electric vehicles, that is not the right way to go. And so that's kind of with the genesis. And of course, it's a lot more numbers and everything else that goes into it.
Okay, great. And so the goal of this, and Sudhi and Nicole, thank you very much. The goal of this was to kind of show you that the founders you're going to be working with are real people who are addressing real problems, and also give you an idea they're working a bit outside of the lines, and that you can make a contribution, with basically a simple survey. I think you were doing a pilot study with DTE this past summer, Sudhi, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
With the simple survey, students were able to shed light on a really important question, which is what value does the potential customer find in all of this? And then with Nicole, she talked about transforming the business. And I tried to point out, I mean, these were two regular people. They weren't super people. And we've had a number of people work with Nicole, both in the summer internship and then outside of the summer internship. And they've all been, regular folks, and they've done well. So thank you both, and we will move on here. And so this brings me to the typical intern. Okay, so our typical intern is in college or just graduated. So so we're usually looking for people. We have had some successful candidates come in after their freshman year, so we don't rule them out. But generally speaking, a person is going to be most successful sophomore, junior, and even senior years, sort of depending on where they are. We also have some roles for graduate students, but we don't pay a graduate rate. We pay an undergraduate rate of $17 an hour, which is a nice internship rate. So when we get a wide range of majors, so we've had some computer scientists, those kind of wax and wane, but also people who develop websites, people develop apps. We've had a few of those people who design websites and apps. So we've had a number of people, user experience designers. Then we've had people in the media and visual art. So for instance, Anna here, as well as Tariq, who we'll meet in just a second, have a graphics background. So we get plenty of folks like that. We have PR folks. We even have simulation, animation, and gaming folks in there who have been quite effective, because sometimes people want to develop a sort of a simulation of their product that's still on the drawing boards that they can show to customers. So we've put people into those roles. Okay. Now, what do you have to have? Well, typically you have applied coursework. Sometimes you have a prior internship in the area. And most of the time people have some sort of on-the-job experience. Now that on-the-job experience might be working at a fast food joint, to be honest with you. I mean, I know some of the people we hired last year, their previous experience was in food service. But, they showed up, they kept the job, they learned sort of the discipline of getting to the job. And so that kind of shows, you've got good basic work skills. And then you know, do you have something you've learned in a course, applied in a club, or maybe done in some other internship somewhere else that you could bring to bear? You know, you've been a student worker and you've been doing social media, or you've worked for the newspaper and you've done comics and so on and so forth. Many are business majors, but not the majority. Okay. We're just slightly under half business majors. So we take people from all across EMU and in fact, all across Southeast Michigan. So you'll find yourselves in there with people from U of M, Washtenaw Community College, Wayne State, Michigan State. And what you're really doing, and I think what a lot of people are really doing, is they're developing one of their first professional credentials when they're in the clinic. Okay, that steps beyond, you know, perhaps working in a drugstore inside of a supermarket or something like that. And so I'm going to now use that to segue over to our two interns who are Alessandra Castaneda. Notice, Alessandra, I have the Enye in your name.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. She was an intern last summer. She's going to graduate in April, right, Alessandra?
Yes, finally.
Yeah. And she's currently interning at Rocket Mortgage. I'll let her talk more about that in just a second, exactly what that entails. And then we have Bethany Davis, who was also an intern this past summer. Both women actually were in class with me at some point last year, and taking my marketing 239 or 339 courses. And then she's currently working at a company called Bank Supply. And so Bethany, why don't we start off with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and the internship and what you're doing now.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Bethany. As Bud had mentioned, I was a former 2021 Digital Clinic summer intern. I did graduate last year in December, and I currently work as a product marketing specialist at Bank Supplies Incorporated. It is located in Ypsilanti, the headquarters where I work. And basically my day-to-day tasks, I do a lot, but to sum all of it up, I conduct a lot of marketing research with different competitors. Since we are in a B2B company, I do a lot of marketing research for that. I collaborate a lot with the graphic design team and figure out brand strategy for new product lines. I also manage the social media and post content on our two platforms we use. And I optimize and manage the entire website by adding, creating, and editing new products.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so did the clinic play any role in getting you into this job, your clinic experience?
Yep. So with everything I do in this job, it is exciting because I got a lot of the foundation from the digital summer clinic. So I worked for Liquid Gold Concept, and throughout the internship, we did a lot of marketing research and we did some things with social media. So I got a lot of experience with that. So doing that in my current job, it's like nice to have had that experience during the clinic because it really gave me that knowledge I needed to succeed with that.
Good. That's, I think, a key point
Yes.
for people starting in their careers is you can do it. Okay. I'm convinced. I've seen so many people do it. Okay. That I know you can, but you've got to believe you can do it.
Exactly.
And that's something that usually having a little bit of a success helps with.
Yes.
So Alessandra, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Alessandra. I'm a senior at EMU studying marketing. As Pat mentioned, I interned at the clinic last summer and I got to work with Autesa, which is a international company that offers AI systems for quality control. And I was also a field manager for the clinic. After that, I got my position at Rocket Mortgage as a full-time intern as a multicultural campaign manager, and I mostly support the Hispanic business. So I basically look at each piece of communication we have, either that's for commercials, the website, the blog, and everything, to make sure that the brand voice is there. And I also support the publishing house, which is the in-house agency for Rocket Mortgage. And yeah, that's basically all that I do. And yeah, other than that, I'm a marketing assistant at EMU, and I'm also the creative director at AMA. So yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How do you have time for all of that, Alessandra?
I ask myself the same thing, but I guess it's just time management and yeah, a lot of stress, but I'm doing it.
So where are you living now? So Alessandra was actually, I think, living in Virginia most of last year. Are you
Yes.
back in Southeast Michigan, or are you still in Virginia?
I'm back. I'm here in ITSE, and I plan to stay here after graduation. So yeah, that's the plan.
Now, do you think there's any chance you would stay with Rocket Mortgage?
Yeah, they have actually already offered me a position, a full-time position with them. So that's really exciting. I'm still looking for other options just in case, of a backup, but yes.
All right. So,
Yeah.
so good. So I do have one other question for you, Alessandra. So you're originally from Peru, right?
Yes.
And so then and you're talking about working with the Hispanic community. Now, I happen to know, having dealt with many different people in the Hispanic community, that there's a lot of subcultures. Peru is different from Mexico, is different from Puerto Rico. So
Yep.
how do you navigate? I mean, that you're really in a diversity of cultures there. How do you navigate that?
Well, I make sure I'm like surrounded with people from other cultures, not only Hispanics, but just like in general. So for Rocket Mortgage specifically, we have like teams. So I make sure that I'm like connected with them, because like the language sometimes, even though it's in Spanish, it can be different. So we just try to make sure that reflects on the brand voice, and we're talking to everyone in the Hispanic audience, not only for Latin American people or like Central America. We just make sure that it's for everyone.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, Bethany, what was your experience before starting the clinic? What had you been doing?
Before the clinic, I worked as a pharmacy technician at Kroger. So my transition into the clinic it's sort of different, just because, I mean, it's clear that what a pharmacy technician does doesn't really merge into like a marketing position, but I definitely took like the communication skills, the team player skills, and the multitasking skills, and took that with me into the digital summer clinic. So
No, that's a key point. I think you took it into the clinic, and then it serves you to today. Okay.
Yep.
So you brought a good work ethos. I had seen that in class when you were in class with me. And you communicate well with people. And so these are things you pick up. You think you're just doing some role,
Yep.
that is not going to lead anywhere professionally.
Mhm.
And I happen to know that Eric and Jarrell also had lots of people facing roles when they were doing their jobs to get through school. And that helps. It helps having jobs where you've got to show up. So, so that's great. Okay. Now let's hop on down to next in line, which are our two field managers. And so we have Tariq Harris, and Tariq has been helping out behind the scenes. He's been helping out getting the application set up. He's also on our weekly digital lives, the next one of which is going to happen tomorrow at 6 p.m. On our Facebook Live page. And if you just go to our events page, which I talked about earlier, bit.ly-cde- not slash that CDE-events, you'll see it there, but he's been a co-host with that. One of the things that I had him in class, he applied for the role of winter field manager. One of the things that impressed me was, in fact, that he had gone out the summer before and just gotten himself certified in Google Ads. And then we have Zach West, who is a CIS major, expected 2023 grad. And so, Zach, why don't we start with you? Okay, so you've been a field manager here. What 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 motivated you to want to do that? And what do you see? Where do you see it leading?
Hey everyone. So what motivated me to become a field manager is I've known about the digital summer clinic for a few years now, and I knew it was definitely something I wanted to get involved with. So this seemed like a good way to do it. Like Bud said, I was in his classes. It seemed like a great opportunity, and I'm definitely hoping that it leads to me being a part of it this summer.
Okay. Okay. And Zach, again, brought a set of skills, and we bring people in to basically to give them opportunities. Obviously you have to contribute. When we hire you, we hired Alessandra. She was a field manager. You've got to be able to play a role on the team, but one of our main points in all of this is we move people through. People will be a field manager with us, a semester or two typically, and then they go on to something else. Alessandra was a field manager back in the summer, and use that as part of her springboard on to the next thing. So Tariq, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm currently a field manager with the CDE, and originally I joined because I wanted to learn more skills and gain more experience. The biggest thing for me was just gaining more confidence, and I knew just having a degree wasn't enough for me. So Bud reached out to me, and then originally I wasn't going to apply because I didn't feel qualified, but he kind of convinced me a little bit. So I gave it a shot, and I love it.
Great. Yes. If you're working your way through college, and Tariq was working his way through college. He had another job he's been doing here all along. If you're working your way through college and you're a student in good standing, you're qualified. Okay. You're potentially qualified. The matching, we go through a matching process and try and figure out what are roles we could put you in with companies. Okay. But you pass the first cut. Okay. If that's what you're doing. It's not a lost cause. And so don't feel that way if you do. And I know a lot of people, they kind of wonder, can I do it? I think the answer is if you're interested by it, you can do it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what's available in the clinic. So we're going to hire 48 interns. So there's lots of opportunity. Now, last year we had 512 applications, maybe 514, but a number like that. And we hired 48. So you might think, wow, those are daunting odds. It's under 10%. Well, 60% of the people we hired were from Eastern last year. Okay. So if you're from Eastern, you actually have kind of a leg up. What distinguished the people from who got the internship versus those who didn't? They thought a little bit about their statement of purpose, and they thought about their skill sets, and they said, how can I contribute to the clinic? Okay. They watched, they came to information sessions. They watched some of our videos. And I do see that we have some questions, so we'll get right to those in just a second. So they did those things, and that's the key thing, is think about what it is you can do in the clinic. That really helps us. Okay. And pulp on whatever experience you can have. We've had successful people who have really just done coursework that's relatable. I remember we had one student a few years ago who introduced something called a content calendar to a bunch of high-powered engineers. and they were amazed by it. And the students said, well, this is, like content management 101 that I just did here. Well, exactly. It's often, simple things that you've got to do. We pay $17 an hour this year. We have 5 mentors. You've met them all today. Just real quick, we've got a couple of events, and I'll leave the events up as we ask questions. So you go to digitalsummer.clinic to get the application. I'll leave the events up. There's a little QR code you can scan. So if you want to come to any of them. And so I'm seeing these questions in the Q&A. So we have, okay, so I'm getting questions in the Q&A and also in the chat. Okay, so Sandra, I'm going to read your question. Hopefully that's okay. If I apply for the internship starting mid-June, and since I'm a recent graduate from EMU, can I also be considered for one of those full-time entry-level kind of positions Mr. Gibson just mentioned? So in the clinic, there is the chance to get more hours with your company, and by the end of the clinic, to move on full-time with them. So that is something you can do. We've had students do that. They go into full-time work with their company. That sort of depends on the position that the company is in to potentially be able to hire you. We have also had students leave the clinic and go into other full-time jobs at the end of the clinic. So they use the clinic, Sandra, it sounds like you basically graduated and you're trying to figure out what to do next. Or you may be graduating in April and you'll be trying to figure out, what to do next. And we've had numerous people do that. They use the clinic basically as an opportunity to interview and get recruited. And then at the end of the internship, they found a job. Okay, so that's definitely okay. So Sandra is saying she doesn't bring work experience in the field on my degree in computer science and mathematics. Well, Sandra, this is a great opportunity for you to get experience with that. Okay. And what I would do when I was writing my statement of purpose in your shoes is I would bring up relevant coursework. And then I know some people have done some freelance kinds of things, or they've been in clubs or something like that. I would mention those too, but just make your case. Okay. Anonymous attendee asked, how can someone stand out in the application? I have a chat one here, so I'm going to go to that one next. That statement of purpose. We've got all sorts of stories from previous interns. You heard a couple today. That statement of purpose, how can I help? Okay. Think about it a little bit. Look at what other people have done. Write about a paragraph or two. The effort will help elevate you above others who don't really say much in their statement of purpose. Okay, Anthony Stone asks, what is the schedule like for interns? What days, times are to be worked by interns? Well, Anthony, that's something you work out with the company. So they've got 10 hours per week. You set up a schedule. I usually recommend breaking that up into something like 2 4 or 5 hour sessions, something of that nature. So you have enough time to actually sit down and work. We will be, many companies are working in a hybrid mode right now. So there's some in person and then some remote going on. So they can often be fairly flexible, but you will need time during the work week. So let's say you're going to be doing the clinic and doing something else too, which is often the case. Then, you would just need to work out with your 2 employers, what your work schedule is going to be. And usually something can work out. Okay. So that's, yeah. Oh, Sandra graduated fall 2021. Well, all right. So you graduated already, Sandra. We had a number of people like that last year. and moved into roles and moved actually ultimately into full-time roles. We had a simulation animation and gaming person who moved into a full-time role with her company in the fall. And she'd been in similar, she'd actually been a school teacher for 9 months. Okay. I am a journalist. Oh, this is Anthony Stone has popped over into the Q&A from chat. I am a journalism major. I love to write. Is the clinic a good idea for me? Well, I'm going to ask Jamie Ward, who has had extensive experience with journalism majors.
I think that the clinic offers a lot of opportunity for content creation. So a lot of that writing experience and that writing background fits really nicely with different types of content creation. So I think the stronger writers tend to do really, really well because you're creating content for such varied clients.
Yeah. So if you like to write, you could do very well here. Okay, so Nick asks a few questions. For those who've received full-time positions or currently work full-time, how did you demonstrate your skills knowledge from the digital summer clinic on your job interviews? So Anna Milan is, well, okay, so Anna has just written that she is going to answer the question live. But I think this is also another great question for Bethany and Alessandra.
I can go first.
Yeah.
So when I had my interview with Bank Supplies, it was really cool because that was the first thing that they told me that stood out on my resume. So everything that I did with Liquid Gold Concept, it ranged from the market research to social creation to communication strategies and everything. I basically just talked to them about what I did like with my company, which is very specific with other clinic companies, but it basically matched all the check boxes that Bank Supplies was looking for. So I guess the only word I could probably describe that was like, I'm thankful that everything that I did in the clinic matched to what this company was looking for. So.
Okay, yeah, and sorry, you're gonna
go
say
ahead.
something, but
No, go ahead. I was going to say, Alessandra, it's your turn.
Oh, well, to me, actually, the things that I was doing in the digital summer clinic is like, sorry, what I'm doing right now at Rocket Mortgage is completely different from what I did from the clinic. But I do have to say that from the clinic, I actually gained the network that I needed to get this position. Like after I did this digital summer clinic, a former intern contacted me on LinkedIn. We talked about our experience, and then he referred me to his mentor. And then his mentor referred me to my now team leader. So I actually got to apply for the position that I have right now before it was even on the Rocket Mortgage website. So that gave me like the advantage. And of course, I got to say that I'm here where I am because of my merit, my own merit. I'm also here because of the network that I gained from the digital summer clinic. So I just wanted to say that.
I think that's actually a nice balanced statement. Okay, because in fact, you do get where you get via hard work. If Alessandra was just sitting there bombing out, not doing a credible job, the network would not save her. However, doing a great job without the network also doesn't work because you've got to connect with people to sort of connect you to other opportunities. So I like how you illustrated that advantage, Alessandra. So thank you very much. Is speaking to the network end of it. Nick asks, could I possibly work a full-time job and then do this on the weekends to not miss out on the skills and experience? So Nick Berichet, no, if you get a full-time job, I mean, you should focus on that. Okay. You want to succeed in that full-time job. You have achieved the thing that the clinic helps other people to achieve. So you're there, and you want to win at the full-time position. Okay, and so the clinic, to be honest with you, will wind up being a distraction to that. So if you get a full-time job, let's say you got it in the middle of the clinic, we don't encourage people to do this, but it happens. I would say you should quit the clinic and do your full-time job. That's just really the only solution there. Okay, so oh, what opportunities does the clinic provide someone who is looking into being a photographer? Example, a product photographer or another role more business oriented. Well, Jamie has dealt with a lot of photographers.
I always come back to creating content or some stuff for blog posts or things like that. I think that those are skills that can be applied to a lot of different companies. And I think that photography skills are really useful when you are doing anything involving marketing and organization or a company. So I think it's a broader skill and a skill that can be applied in a lot of different places.
We've had many successful people with photography and video skills come through the clinic who've gone on to great things. Typically, you're going to find yourself, you might be doing some business events. That's possible. You might be doing some product photography. We've had that, and social media oriented photography. So there's lots of opportunity in there, Laszlo. Okay. What skills do you look at when pairing people with companies? Well, and this is from Shania Khan. And so we have wandered past 5 p.m. I'm happy to stay on answering these questions for a bit longer. I know panelists, Eric and Jarell, I think are already, they've turned their cameras off. I think they've kind of stayed in the game, as it were, while they're working on other things. But feel free to leave if you want to, and I'm happy to sit. If you have things you got to go do them. And I'm happy to stick here for another 5 or 10 minutes or so, just kind of hitting these things. And so what skills do you look at when pairing people with companies? Well, so we look at the skills you have, and we have a wide range of skills. And as I mentioned earlier, we talk with companies about projects that they're fulfilling. So this is happening simultaneously. We have a sense of the companies starting mid-late next month. We know what they've asked for in the past. And to be honest with you, we have a good idea of the range of people, a range of projects that we might get in the companies. But and so then we look and say, okay, we'll look at Shania. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that reasonably correctly. And see what she brings to bear. And then we will then we'll look at the projects we've got available, and if there's a fit, then we've got a place we can put Shania. It's as simple as that. Okay, do we offer, from anonymous attendee, do we offer project management internships? That's an interesting question, because all of our internships effectively have an element of project management in them. But we don't necessarily have internships for somebody who wants to be in a project manager role. I mean, nobody says, I want a project manager intern. At least we haven't to date. Okay. Okay, let me hop over to Estelle Hackos. I'm a freshman in marketing at Eastern. What would you suggest for applying as a freshman? Estelle, we have had successful freshman graduates. And what you should do is just simply highlight what it is you can bring to bear. Okay. So, we have people who come out of high school and they're really on a hot ticket in freshman year, and they have some things that they want that they're good at and that they've done before. And so highlight those things in your statement of purpose. and you know, and we can take it from there. We do have people sometimes apply more than once and maybe not get in the first time, but get in the second time. Okay. And so we've had that in the past too. So that's definitely something to think about. Okay, so are there several rounds of interviews? No, there is in fact one interview, and we operate like, this is from Sandra 17. Okay, and we operate like an agency. So, you know, we read your stuff, we talk with you, and then we place you in with the company. When will applicants get a final response? So time frame runs like this. We will be doing bye-bye, Alessandra. We will be doing applications through April 30th. That's a Saturday. Then we will quickly review those and invite people to interviews by the middle of May. And we will have answers by Memorial Day. That's that Monday that unofficially kicks off summer. So you can expect it, and it happens at the end of May. It's the last Monday of May, if I recall correctly. And so we will be doing that. So we have various people who have to go. Folks are dropping off. And I think that actually does all of the questions. So I appreciate everybody dropping in. You know, we will actually put this up on our Facebook feed and then also on our YouTube channel. So you can watch it if you weren't able to attend. If you made it this far, then you may actually be watching this on YouTube or Facebook. And so I'd like to thank all of the panelists, those who have remained here to 506, Professor Jamie Ward, Anna Milan, Professor Sufjan Krunflo, Bethany Davis, Tariq Harris, and Jerome Cree. And all of the attendees. So Anna, you can feel free to end the show.
Got it.